Hi, my name is Isabella Johnston, and today's tip of the week focuses on another way managers can improve communication in their departments, in their offices, in the company. To ensure that inclusion goals are met, you want to create dedicated diversity panels. Having a diverse panel of members ranging across various departments, personality types, different types of people, different generations, ethnicities, all of those great things to ensure that the process remains transparent for everyone. That actually creates better communication. So today's guest is Austin Jackson, a gentleman I met from, startup world, all of us. I'm really glad that he is here. He is somebody that I think is really all of our listeners are really going to enjoy because he's eclectic. He's one of those Dos Equis men that everybody should need to know. I put him in the same category as my dad and my brother. So Austin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and you are a great host. I'll give you $5 for that intro later.
Okay. Dos Equis, man. What can I say? That does it always. So we always kick off the show so that people will know 5 words about you, but you get to pick them. So what are those 5 words that you would tell somebody, you're at a cocktail party, that describe who you are? And it can be anything.
5 words to describe myself. I would say faithful, a man of faith, definitely a believer in God. I try to stay grounded and rooted there. So that would probably be number 1. Number 2 is driven. I am pretty passionate about things, but I like to push all gas and no brakes. Number 3, a student. I always believe in being a student of the game, a student of life, a student of my elders, a student of everything, period. 2 more. What should I say? I don't know. I wouldn't say philanthropist just yet, but
a person could be a philanthropist because of their time, and your time is something that is priceless.
Absolutely, and it's definitely more expensive than money.
Yeah.
But yes, I do believe in giving back and paying forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
And father,
Gotcha.
which should have been one of my first answers.
Well, you put faith first and God first. So you're never wrong when you put God first.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, you could have done it there, but you finished strong because you're finishing that you're a father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's very important to me. And I've realized as I've gotten older that's kind of been like a deciding factor on a lot of my decisions. What do I want to pass down or instill or teach my son? That's literally the next generation for me, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really significant too, because I know we've had some offline conversations, and kids are always watching their parents, and they form their relationships, they form how their values and how they see themselves and how they see others based on how our parents interact with each other.
Absolutely.
Whether they're together or not, how they treat their friends and how they treat their kids.
Absolutely.
That is the legacy that we leave.
I realize that, and what you said, how you treat is what they see. You can say all day, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, but they're gonna replicate what they see. 9 out of 10 times. I did ask someone the question one time. I said, a father is an alcoholic. He has 2 sons, and one decides to never drink alcohol a day in his life because he saw what it did to his dad. And the other one drank every day and said, yeah, well, my dad was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I said, they always say it's about environment, right? But they literally grew up in the same environment, but had exact opposite choices. And the answer that I've heard that I don't know if I've grown to accept as the answer was, it was about fear, because fear is a
highly motivating factor.
Absolutely.
For decisions.
But people also have to realize that highly motivating factor could be pushing us in the right direction as well. So we got to realize how to use the bad for our good, right? So I don't know. That was something I was thinking, but continue.
Yeah. And I think that the other words that you picked in between faith and father, of driven, a student, that's continuous learning. I think anybody that's going to be a continuous learner will always be innovative, will always be creative, will always be relevant. And I think that it's great that you chose that. I'm kind of helping you there, but you might have had some other reasons why you said student.
So actually, before I say student, my first thought was I was going to say middle child.
Oh, really?
It's a phrase that, now funny, I'm the youngest child, but it's a phrase that I use of being able to receive from those older age, and you being able to pour out in those younger than you. And again, this doesn't have to be age. It could just be wisdom on a certain topic, or life in general, whatever the case is. But always being a student of your mentors, of the game,
people,
of life, of exactly, and being able to pass along that knowledge. So I believe in that middle child mentality. But in order for you to be a great leader, you have to be a great student. So
yeah.
And I also feel that by being a teacher of things that you do know, you tend to start to retain them a little better yourself.
That's very true. I feel like there was something that was really significant that you said too. Ooh, it's going to come back to me in just a second. Sometimes I interrupt people because I go, oh my gosh, I want to make sure, but I've gotten better. I've gotten better about like putting some notes on here and coming back to it. Very insightful there. Driven. Why driven? Was your dad driven?
Absolutely.
Your parents? Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, I would say both of my parents. So my mom graduated college the year after I graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
What's super crazy is I don't have a vivid memory of everything when I was like an infant, but I do remember being underneath my mom's desk in college. She was in college, and she had to leave the class for whatever reason. I don't know anything else about the sort, but I do have that image.
As a high school kid, you were under her desk?
No.
Okay.
I was an infant, and my mom always had this mission and vision for herself. She wanted to have her degree, and whether she graduated out of college 4 years after high school, or whether she had to do it 40 years after high school, she made it happen. So I definitely saw drive. I saw passion, and more so than anything, I saw commitment. Like, that's a long time to be committed to something that's just that meaningful to you. That's that. My dad, he went to Inter-American University in Puerto Rico, only knowing the Spanish that he picked up off of watching cartoons as a child.
Oh, wow.
Inter-American Universities in Puerto Rico. Graduated with his college degree, speaks fluent Spanish. He made a tremendous career in the United States Postal Service. He was not only just a postmaster, he was a postal coordinator over the entire Virgin Islands. He was even over in some offices in Puerto Rico. But aside from that, his passion was in martial arts. He entered that, I believe, when he was like 18. He's been doing martial arts for 45 plus years, to where actually I just came from visiting him this past week and having a knee replacement surgery. So being that commitment, that committed, that he dedicated his life to it, built martial arts schools across different islands and things of the sort. So I saw his passion and his drive on that aspect as well, in both in the corporate career as well as on the entrepreneurial aspect. I'm sorry, as well. So I guess I saw it from both parents.
Yeah.
So again, they never spoke to me about business, never one day in life. But children, I guess, reflect what they see.
Yeah,
So,
they do.
yeah.
Well, and a lot of it is just how they're treating, again, people. And I think that's the thing that makes the biggest impact on all of us.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, that was good. Philanthropist, I like the fact that you also said you're going to pay it forward, but you also, you got to give back. There's a back and a forward, a push and a pull kind of thing that goes on.
Middle child.
Yeah, that middle child, I was firstborn. You said you were baby. So the middle child, not everybody has 3 in their family, right? Because you could have like 20 kids or you could have 3 to have a middle child. So my brother that is the middle child, he's kind of a big deal. I talk about him on my show periodically. I go back and I tell him, so, I talked about you, and he goes, okay. He's like MacGyver. He's a warrant officer 5, flies in, swoops, saves people, comes back. There's only 5 in the country. It's kind of a big deal, apparently.
Excuse me.
You're right up there though with him. Okay. So my question for you is also on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is it to make a scalable business model? Because you and I have been talking about your concept, but I think you should go back and tell people what it is that you're building, because we haven't done that. And typically I also do, how did you get to school to where you are now? So let's go with those 2 questions first.
All right. So school.
Yeah. If you went to college, great. If you didn't, just pick it up wherever. And how did you get to where you are?
Copy. So I did go to school after high school. I went to a Universal Technical Institute for for auto mechanics and engineering. Has nothing to do with what I'm doing today, right? I also picked up some classes in Valencia College. I had some basic interest in business and things of the sort. However, you have to take all of these general classes and things of the sort. My time in Valencia was extremely short by choice. I'll just leave it at that. No, I have no degree. I did have a certificate from the program that I completed in tech school, but again, that doesn't really apply to what I'm doing today. So, but however, to continue that story going, I worked for American Honda, whether that being through different dealerships and things of the sort, for almost 10 years. Definitely built a sales background, not selling cars, but selling service and things of the sort. But I as much as you can say that someone was a success in a corporate world, I still wasn't satisfied. I didn't feel like I was fulfilling a purpose. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to work for myself. I really didn't like answering to somebody, waking up at times that I didn't want to be somewhere to do things I didn't want to do. It already, as basic as it sounds, that was my truth. So real estate was my passion. I started studying it more so on the investing side, but I saw just being a real estate agent as the way out. And I got my real estate license while I was still working at the dealership. And when I got my license, I entrepreneur, right? I pitched them a program. I said, hey, you guys were talking about extending hours. I am willing to actually just come and work these certain hours in the night, blah, blah, if I can have my days free to me or whatever the case is. Giving them my opportunity to expand their business, get what I want, and everything of the sort. They thought about it. They didn't agree. So at that point, I was like, all right, you're lost. I'm on my own. I got my real estate license. I officially went to go sell timeshares. That worked out for a short time. Then I realized that wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's hard.
Not only is it hard, is I'm a firm believer in the product I'm selling. And if I'm not a believer in the product I'm selling, it's harder for me to pitch.
Yeah.
People buy into me as a person because I try to be trustworthy. I try to be honest. I go forward with all the information, but I can't sell you a bag of BS, for lack of a way to put it, or at least withhold some information that may affect you on the back end. I didn't really care for that, right? So my time served there was kind of short. I'm like, hey, this was just a means to an end. I was just looking to make some cash, blah, blah, blah. I really want to get into real estate investing. Let me at least get into homes. That's a start. So I decided I'm going to be a real estate agent. Get out there, start working as a real estate agent. Obviously, you don't get paid until you close.
That is right.
And
you eat what you hunt or whatever.
Absolutely. You eat what you kill. And every day is hunting day, but not every day is eating day. Right. So I'm out there. I'm doing my what do you call them? Where you invite a whole bunch of people to come and see the homes on Sunday. I invested like $300-400 on
open
a whole bunch of
house.
open houses. I invested a whole bunch of money on signs and things to do my open houses, on marketing, on these cards and everything, blah, blah, blah. Actually, prior to that, I was licensed, I am licensed in life, health, and annuities. So I was selling life insurance while I was selling timeshares as kind of my side hustle, right? But as an entrepreneur, you're always going to try to figure a way to make something happen, try to make things move and shake. So long story short is, in between my closes, I had a buddy. He knows that I was into music from years back. We actually went to high school. He said, look, I'm in live events production. He said, at least I know that you know the audio side. Why don't you come out here and do some of these gigs with me? By doing these gigs, you may be able to make a couple extra bucks of cash in between every time you close. I'm like, all right. So I went to work out for him. I went to work one day. First day, I made $250. I'm like, $250? All right. I remember I was working at a dealership, and there was one point in time that I was making a salary of $300 a day. So if I made $250 one day, my first day out here as a freelancer, I'm like, there's some opportunity here. Yeah. So my first day that I'm out there, I started talking to some people. I started talking to other people, find out other people who's hiring for these things. I know one thing, I know audio. I could hook up a mic to make sure I could hook up some speakers and things of the sort, but I became a student quickly. I wanted to become a student of the industry. I wanted to become a student of learning how the industry works, but also learning how a technician propels and evolves in this industry. So I humbled myself. I looked for any opportunity that I could get out there, no matter how much money I was making. Like when it was $11 an hour, I'm there. If it's $12 an hour, I'm there. If it's $14 an hour, I'm there. If it's $18 an hour, I'm there. And I say these numbers may sound like crazy off the wall to some people, because inside the industry, a lot of the guys were starting at like $20 an hour. But I took the warehouse opportunities as well on my day off, so I could learn a little bit more about the gear. I could learn a little bit more about the logistics behind the shows and things of the sort. And the more I learned, the more I actually fell in love with the industry itself.
And you never picked up a video camera?
Never. Wow. Never. So there's later on in my career, someone actually did give me an opportunity to learn camera, and I did take advantage of that opportunity. But at that point for me, it was, when I say entrepreneur grassroots, like scratching and clawing your way through, it was $180 for a day at a time. It was $200 at a time, $250 at a time. And you're trying to feed a family and kids and things of the sort. So when I say you take every opportunity, you take every opportunity. But one thing that I've came to realize now is that we don't pay attention to, I think sometimes we overestimate the amount that we can get done in a day.
Oh my goodness, yes.
But we underestimate the amount that we can get accomplished in a year, or even a month, or even 30 days or in a week. But within that first year of business, like I built a team in real estate, talking about scaling business, right? I built a team in real estate so that I could attack this full force. So anybody who came to me about a home, perfect. I can get, let's talk about it, blah, blah, blah. I'll get you pre-qualified. Let me get you with this loan officer. Let me refer you to my team. Somebody else will show the home. Somebody else will write the deal, close the contracts, everything of the sort. I may make my little cut. But then I started to realize that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about getting these plates spinning and getting a little income coming from here, and then something else coming from here. But I read that book, The One Thing, and I had to get target focused. I had to. So I left real estate to be managed by a team, all people who were much better than I was at being an agent, all people who were way more skilled. So I knew it was in good hands. But this audio visual industry, this live events industry, something was so intriguing about it. I was getting involved in these shows. I was And it was a much faster paycheck that was taking care of my family. I think that was the biggest motivation at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money that you're able to make in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually you get capped out as to what you're gonna do when it's only you.
Mm-hmm.
So we start talking about scaling a business.
So the one thing I was like, once you mentioned that book, I've seen it on a couple of other people's lists. Tell me about that book. What is it that was the most significant thing that stood out about it?
I will tell you 2 words: target focused.
You focus on one thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I remember my mom asking me this when I was younger, and she said, if would you rather be someone who's extremely knowledgeable in one thing, or would you rather know a little bit about a lot? I actually told her when I was young, which is funny because that's how I feel I am today. I know a little bit about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It allows me to open and engage in conversation with many people across different walks of life, across so much varying topics.
Mm-hmm.
But for the simple reason is it makes me a student. I'm able to learn from a lot of these people. And sometimes the things that we learn are things what not to do.
Exactly.
But it still makes us a student of life, period. But when it comes to when you're trying to execute, if we only have 100% of energy that we can target, we're trying to reach success, whatever success may be to you. It may just be to have your bills paid and not have to worry about the light being cut off this month. It may be, okay, I need to make sure that we can get on a family vacation. It may be, well, I need to buy this car because I'm tired of us having to pay for these Ubers or call somebody and ask for a ride. Whatever success may be to you, if we have 100% of energy that we can focus on that,
mm-hmm.
and all of these other things that are bothering us, a lot of it is emotionally, a lot of it is us paying attention to the problems that we may be adhering to, whatever the case
whatever
is.
We think the problem is.
Absolutely. But we can be skilled at playing pool, playing basketball, doing business, and holding a podcast. But chances are that I'm not going to be a professional pool player and be profitable off of it today or tomorrow. Same thing with basketball. Let's face it, I'm a little old. I've passed my time versus
mm-hmm.
what they're recruiting. But if I know that my 2 areas that I can focus on is maybe podcasts and maybe business, all right, these are my 2 areas of passion. What if I started a podcast and figure out a way I can generate some revenue off of it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I decide to give laser target focus to this, 100% of my energy to this one thing. Well, the financial problems tend to fix themselves. The problem that a lot of us have in terms of not feeling like we're working or fulfilling our purpose,
mm-hmm.
that tends to go away because we feel like we're working on something much bigger than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And by focusing on that one thing, I feel like it tends to spill over into other areas of your life. But
mm-hmm.
That laser target focus is absolutely necessary.
Well, I'm going to go read it now. I don't know if you have it. I may ask you if I can just borrow it.
And I can bring it for you. That's an easy fix. We'll make that happen.
Okay, that sounds good. But I'll probably get it faster if I go buy it.
Actually, I may have
You have it in the car?
No, Audible version, at least, that I may be able to share with you. If not a Kindle version, one of the 2.
I'll take that. All right. So what is your business your scalable business that you're working on now? Let's go ahead and talk about AJ Marks Entertainment.
All right. So AJ Marks Entertainment is a live event production company and event management company. We specialize in audiovisual production. So when you go to these concerts, conferences, conventions, things of the sort, all of the screens, all of the lights, everything that you see, every camera shot, whether it's flying over the roof, whether it's camera shots of the crowd, whatever it is that you see is what we produce. We put on the actual show for you guys to enjoy. We specialize in corporate events, but we also do concerts and things of the sort as well. So what we are working on is opening a new division called Synchrony, which is our technology department. We have had
I think there's a company with that name.
There is a Synchrony. Ours is spelled a little differently. I think there's Synchrony Financial, because I know that's one of the things that we're looking for. So AJ Marks is short for A Journey of Marks, right? I remember Maya Angelou said, people may not remember exactly what you say. They may not even remember your name, but they will always remember how you make them feel.
That is very true.
I adhere to it till this day. But I believe that A Journey of Marks is not only how business should be conducted, but how life should be lived. Remember, I spoke about that middle child thing.
Right.
What is it that we can learn? What is it that we can apply that can make it easier for the generations behind of us? What marks can we leave? When we leave this world, what will we be known for?
Hopefully it's for climate change not happening. The world does not destroy itself. Like, those environmental issues and having clean water, I would say, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I think I would rather have than technology. But technology may have to be what gets us back into
I was going to
wholeness.
say, I agree. I agree, because there's good and bad to everything, right? So social media was supposed to make us all a little bit more social and interactive, except for when we're sitting at the dinner table amongst each other.
Yeah.
Everyone is sitting amongst each other, but they all have a phone in front of them.
It's more than just at the dinner table. It's just like anywhere.
We're attached online, but detached in person. So there's good and bad to anything. But one of the things that we're working on is actually trying to launch the 1% program. It was a fact that it was known that if the top 5 Fortune 500 companies were to donate 1% of their revenue, that they had more than enough money to end world hunger. If the top Fortune 500 companies can't do it, what about all of the other young entrepreneurs or the ones who have an idea that can actually change the world, or that may be about the Earth's preservation, or at least water preservation, or something that can change the world? All of these things that are actually life-changing, they tend to be really profitable companies through one way or the other. But what do we do with these profits?
So it's called Pledge 1%. It's an existing thing that's out there. And because you were mentioning it, I was going, wait a minute, I know it. I've heard of that one too.
Okay.
So people, usually it's startups, they are there to pledge 1%. It's an easy way to leverage a portion of your future success to support other nonprofits or startups in your community. It's a small commitment. And, I like that. I've seen this come through in applications when I'm applying to either a startup, some type of competition, or the ability. I think even YC has it too. I think I've seen it there. But it's something that's definitely out there, and you can easily join.
Absolutely.
Just like this.
Absolutely. And I'm saying that 1%, I mean, if I were to take $1 out of every $100, yes, you may notice it if you're somebody who's going to pay that critical attention. But there is also a very, very famous entrepreneur who once told me, there's no financial problem that making more money can't fix.
That's true too.
And it is true. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but what about taxes? He said, if you made more money, you'll pay him. It said he's right?
Right.
But what if we can actually use what we're good at? Whatever it is that we're producing to work towards a greater good. Even if my only skill or knowledge is just about business in itself, what about all those other people who have great ideas but no knowledge in how to actually apply it? You help other entrepreneurs, they become a little bit more financially fit. They're able to help others who are not as financially fit. We're able to donate and help other countries where we see young children with their ribs printing, drinking out of dirty rivers. And Lord, forgive me if I'm ever ungrateful.
Yeah. Yeah. I will tell you, this is a day I'm recording 5 episodes all in one day. And so far, episode 3 out of the 5, we've been talking about gratitude. It just seems to come up naturally in the conversation. Absolutely. I think that what I'm observing is that there's more awareness of being grateful in the world about what we have and how we can, as you said, either pay it forward and also give back.
I don't think that a lot of us pay attention to how much the things that we may possess, whether they be even tangible assets or not, but they're all blessings in one way or another. Now, you may not believe in God, you may believe in the universe, whatever the case is, but it's coming from somewhere greater. And I don't believe that, or my dad used to say, you can't pour into a full cup. So unless I pour this out into others, then whatever that greater good, how can it pour into me? So, I mean, I agree. And life is short. It can be taken at a moment's notice. Not even just your life, whatever it is that you're so fascinated or fixated upon. Like, we have to realize, like, gratefulness, gratitude, it's everything. And I believe it opens and introduces the door for us to allow more to come into our lives.
I agree with you. I love this conversation. So that takes us back to the original question, which is now the third question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard do you think it is to build or make a scalable business? Because I'm going to tell you, I think it's a 10. I think it's ridiculously hard, and it's not for everybody because, just as you were saying a little bit ago, I'm paraphrasing here, things will come and go.
Absolutely.
People, money, pain, joy, all of these things, they're going to come and go. But at the end of the day, we choose to take this journey of being an entrepreneur, and this is effing hard.
It is true.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. On a scale from 1 to 10, I can't tell you that it's a 10. In my book, I would say it's an 8. And I am a people person, 1,000%. I love people, and for whatever reason, people love me. But I will tell you that 2 things that I notice when you're trying to scale a business. One, it comes down to people and it comes down to systems, right? And the systems are the things that we can do over and over and over repetitively the same way, and we can get some type of predictable outcomes by them. The people, now those are the audibles.
Yeah.
Why? 90% of people out there probably operate on their emotions. I agree. Most people out there are not emotionally
reactionary.
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of it too. I am not perfect by any means. Like, I will react, and at times I'm like, oh man, I should have slowed down a little bit, which is why I encourage meditation. Also, a practice that I'm not great at, but I'm working on, because I noticed that it gives me at least a moment to slow down and think about things, right? But now systems, like I said, gives us a way to duplicate what we're doing over and over and try to predict some type of results. The people, that's the audible. So what can we do as leaders to try? Well, one, I believe it's actually truly investing in your people, not just monetarily.
Yeah.
But actually something way more expensive.
Your time. Yeah.
Your time. And once you can get people to buy into a much bigger vision, once you can make it less about them and about that vision. Now, not your vision to say that you're egotistical and you're arrogant. It's all about me, about me, about me. But what is our bigger purpose? What are we doing all of this for? When it becomes more about the we's and less about the I's, we can carry more weight. When we can instill a little bit more discipline of the things that we should do every single day, whether we're feeling happy, whether we're feeling sad, at least these basic things that need to be done every single day. Now, in a sense, we're able to enforce some type of system within our people. And if you can get those 2 things done and start to spread that out little by little, that's where scaling, I feel, it becomes effective.
Yep. Preach, because I'm sitting there going, yeah, I totally agree with you here.
And I have messed up more from scaling without having those things and having to retract and say, oh, all right, we got to do this better the next time around. So I'm speaking from my failures.
So I know we have several other questions that would be in this half of the show, but I want to make sure I leave time for the second half of the show, which I think is going to be really a lot of fun with you also.
All right.
So you already said a quote earlier, so I'm going, okay, I can skip that one. I don't know if it was your favorite quote, but you did mention a quote, and I think it was it Oprah Winfrey? No.
Oh, Maya Angelou.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I was to give you a quote, I'll give you two quick off the top of my head. They're both biblical quotes. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's number one.
Yep.
And number two, I think I use this one even way more, is to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
Why? Because as an entrepreneur, you are going to hit turbulence. You're gonna hit some rocky roads. You're gonna fall into potholes.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna fall off the edge of the cliff sometimes, and you're gonna have everyone leaning and depending on you at those times when you have the least to offer.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you
that quote. To whom much is given, much is required.
I'm going to give you another one. And I'm wanting to remember where it's from in the Bible, but I'm going to Google it right now. So it's 1 Chronicles 29:11 through 13. Everything in the heavens and the earth is yours, O Lord. Oh, everything in the heavens and the earth is yours, O Lord. And we are, I don't want to look at this one because it's going to throw me off, but and when I try to remember, like now, spontaneously, I'm going to mess it up. But everything in the heavens and the earth is yours, our Lord, O Lord. And you are the ruler of all mankind. You control power and might, and it is at your discretion that men are made great and given strength. To me, that encompasses even everything else that is like what you shared, because it makes me remember that I come from him. Mm-hmm. I belong to him, and nothing I have is mine. It is given to me because he's given it to me.
I said that earlier. Everything we're given, that's a blessing.
Yeah. So I'm throwing that one. And it's 1 Chronicles 29:11 through 13. Yeah. Because I like those things. Okay. This one is the question that I think I most want to know about you. What is the hardest lesson that you learned and it changed your life?
Ooh. Hardest lesson that I've learned and it changed my life. I think I've learned two, and that both hurt, but the lesson stuck forever. Mm-hmm. The first one was something that my dad used to say all the time was be swift to take opportunity. And that message didn't stick until I remember till this day, 7/7/2028. My mom had told me my aunt wasn't doing so well, and I meant to call her, and this was a Sunday, and I didn't call her, and the Monday she passed. Mm. So take advantage and be swift to take opportunity, whether that's in things that we're pursuing, things that we're maintaining, mm-hmm. things that we fell short on that we need to go back and, hey, let's fix this. Take those opportunities because life is short. Yeah. Life is short. And you find that out from the elderly guy that you'll talk to who's 88 years old and said, if I just had a little bit more time. Mm-hmm. Life is short. So take advantage of every opportunity. That's one. And number two, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but as an entrepreneur, as a person, period, I don't believe that we should take everything at face value. Mm-hmm. Not everything that someone shows you is exactly what it is. I saw a picture of Prince Harry, and from the side, it looked like he was sticking up his middle finger. Mm-hmm. But from in front, you saw that there was two other fingers beside that one, and he was holding up three fingers. But from the side, they could say, what kind of prince is behaving this way? You see what I'm saying? Don't take everything for face value.
Don't believe what you see.
Don't believe everything you see. Everyone lies. Everyone lies.
That's true.
Do your research. Do your homework. And when you walk into rooms, be the most humble, but the most educated. And I don't mean that in in having degrees.
No, because you're listening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Walk into these rooms with humility, but make sure that you're well educated, so that as as we used to say, so that they don't run game on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in business, you definitely will. Not just business, but in life.
So we're going to take a moment just now to acknowledge our sponsor, Cat 5 Studios, and we will be right back.
The Intern Whisperer is brought to you by Cat 5 Studios, who help you create games and videos for your training and marketing needs that are out of this world. Visit Cat 5 Studios for more information to learn how Cat 5 Studios can help your business. Thank you, Cat 5 Studios.
And we're back to the second half of our show, and our guest is Austin Jackson. And we're going to be talking about the future of what does 2030 look like? You get to pick anything you want. Ooh. You get to put on your sci-fi hat, your wizardy hat, whatever it is that, you get your inspiration from. What is it that you think 2030 will look like, which is basically right around the corner?
I was going to say 2030 is actually not that far.
No, but we know from COVID that it can change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In a moment's notice. A moment's notice. 2030, a lot more automation.
Agreed.
A lot less entry-level jobs.
Yes, I would. Yeah.
More opportunity in the tech space. Definitely a lot.
Because everything's going to be tech.
Absolutely. I hope the face of education change.
Oh, it. Believe me, it is. It is already is.
Our kids, our children, our youth have been learning in these archaic ways of doing things that half of the stuff aren't really applicable to today. So I hope I see that change.
I think they need to learn how to change a tire.
I agree, but there's so much for them to learn.
I know
they're not learning.
Yeah.
There's so much for them to learn. I did learn how to change a tire because I had automotive technology.
They
when
actually,
I was in high school, right?
They don't teach that anymore, though.
Well, they don't even teach cursive. Children don't know how to sign their names anymore.
They don't know that. So there are some things that need to stay, and then you can move them forward. But like being able to sign your name, a digital signature is not a cursive signature.
It's not. But I'm kind of wondering how much of that could be upheld within the court of law, because how many information hacks and things do we see, really? Right.
Yeah.
But
you have the right to homeschool and supplement. So
you're very true. That is very true.
Yeah.
But on one aspect, I believe that you may say, all right, I'm going to teach my kid about these different subjects that they're going to be able to utilize and use different later on in life. But what about the social aspect of it? They don't get that time to interact with other kids. They don't know how to go out there and make friends. And those little things, they're like, oh, well, he'll make friends when he's older. Will he? Because he never understood the concept when he was a child. But that becomes networking as an adult.
Yep.
And your net worth is only as big as your network, right? So there's a lot of different things that children per se have. 2030, I really wish education would change. That's what I'm hoping for, the biggest change. One, the subjects that are taught in school, the way education is being given to the children.
It's changing. I promise you that.
And I hope that one other thing can change inside of schools, and I believe that it would make a tremendous difference if children were actually to learn about mental health when they learned about biology in school. Because a lot of us don't pay attention to, yes, we have feelings, but feelings aren't facts. And a lot of these children are operating on these feelings, and we're losing so many youth to suicide. And
that is true.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not cool. So,
and there's also bullying that comes from, well, gee, I don't understand why this kid is this way. And they can be mean many times.
I agree. And I don't condone it at all. I will say that I've seen it on more aspects than not, but I always say that if somebody were to go in the parking lot and say, man, that red car that you got is ugly as hell, I'm not really gonna think much of it because I know my car is blue. So are you even talking about my car?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody was to come up to you and say, "Well, you're ugly as hell," like, well, I'm blue, you only see red, kind of thing, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So your opinion doesn't really matter, or what makes your opinion any more valuable than mine,
Right.
and things of the sort like that. So
Confidence. Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
and once I feel the education level change, I feel everything else changes. The banking system will change to the money and monetary system. That all of that will change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They used to teach values in middle and high school. And I've seen these things cycle through. We see it in fashion, we see it in architecture, we see it in art, we see it in a lot of things that are of value to us where things will cycle like maybe 20, 30 years. You'll see, oh, yeah, now it's back. It's back, it's popular. So I've been watching this series called Black Mirror. It's on
Okay.
Netflix. Have you seen this?
I haven't.
So one of the things I've only watched, I think it's 5, and there's about 15 seasons. They're very disturbing.
Seasons.
Yeah, no, there's 5 shows and 3 seasons.
Okay,
Sorry, I had it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's 15 shows total, but 3 seasons, and there's only 5. And they take something about technology, about what the future will look, whether it's AI or if it's virtual reality or augmented reality or our social channels, and they demonstrate what it can be if it goes too far.
Uh-huh.
So it poses it as an ethical dilemma as to, and a cautionary tale
How far
as
is
to,
too far?
yeah, yeah. So one of the episodes that was pretty powerful, I mean, they're all very powerful. And I just had to stop watching them because it was just making me, it was really disturbing, very disturbing. But there was this one episode where this couple, they fell in love, they have a baby, she gets sick, she ends up being put into a coma state. She's not getting any better. The choice was, well, you can take her who she is, and we can transfer it into another thing so that she'll always be around. They did that, and because they asked it as a yes no question, she's not able to answer anything. But if your answer is yes, do this one thing to indicate yes, you want this, or no, you don't. The answer was yes, I want to be placed into the teddy bear. Oh no, it's not a person, into a teddy bear. And then the teddy bear was able to talk just as her. And it became very annoying to the man who truly loved his wife. He sees another woman, he decides he wants to go, and now he's got his wife
and a teddy bear.
And a teddy bear, because the body was, it couldn't be restored. The body was, it was passed on. It died. However, her person, who she is there. So to further in this episode, one of the solutions that was provided to them by the hospital as well, we can actually make it so that just her voice can only be answered in one of her 2 teddy bear paws. Yes, this, or no, this. And you can push it, but the answer was always a positive. Oh, I love you. Oh, yes, I want this, whatever. It was a real dilemma because that's a real person that's inside of this toy.
Yeah.
And then it was totally pushed out of the life of the family because the man married a new woman. The child, who knew that was his mom, didn't care for the teddy bear anymore. It raises a lot of ethical, to me, dilemmas where, yeah, is that possible? Yeah, that is possible, that it could happen like that. So watch it, check it out. Tell me what you think.
I will. I did remember seeing something. I don't even want to call any of the big name companies, but there was someone who quit. Right, he was a tech guy. I don't know if he's writing code or whatever the case is, but he was talking about this machine that they had at this certain facility that he said this artificial intelligence has went way too far, that this thing has developed a soul.
Wow.
This thing has developed a soul, and I guess can answer you at its own free will. And obviously they can learn at a way much faster rate than we can, or whatever the case is. And I believe that there's actually video out there of Elon Musk saying the same thing. Like, look, we've learned so much about AI, but we need to slow down because this may end up taking over humanity. And now, I don't know so much about it to even really comment or thing on the sort, but I will definitely say, do your homework.
Yeah. And I think that there's a way that people can, they need to fact check. They need to fact check everything, and not always trust what's coming up on the first 2, 3, homepage,
Absolutely.
whatever, because those can be paid ads. And then there's other places where you can go and do some behind the scenes, if you will, discovery and research to find out if something's true. But that's what the future, to me, when we're talking about what does the future of work look like, it could look like so many things, because we're creative, we're innovative. We can go, how can we make it faster? And I know you said automation would be one of the things, but there's this place, well, should it be? Because then it's taking something away from us, where maybe we're not interacting with each other as much as we should. Maybe we're making things too easy for the generations, because I know you've got a child, that generation, because there's no struggle. And it's through the struggles, the challenges is where we learn. So should we make everything?
So I don't believe that we as a generation will solve all problems.
No.
But I believe that the easier that we make things, the more complicated problems the next generation behind us can solve. Notice that a lot of diseases that we may have cures and things for today, they may not have had 60, 70 years ago.
Supposedly cancer was cured years ago, but they choose not to make that something that happens, because pharmacies, doctors, hospitals, they make way more money on the fact that people get sick.
Heard that before. Heard the same thing with AIDS. And
it all makes sense, right? It totally does. And then there's this part where I sit here and I go, okay, let's say that that's true. Then you also have people living longer and consuming more resources on the planet. So then how do you solve that problem? And we'll see that it could be something as simple as in China, where you're limited to one child. It could be that. It can be, something else, coronavirus, or something that comes and takes out half of the population in the world.
I mean, there's definitely always a whole bunch of different possibilities and ways that things can go, correct?
Right.
But they're also exploring life on other planets now, aren't they? So there may be some type of insight or reasoning as to why they're doing that. So who's to say? They also said that when we did go on lockdown and people were on shutdown for 2 to 3 weeks, whatever the case is, that the Amazon started healing itself, not the company.
No, yeah.
But it started healing itself. There was less smog in the air. There was less pollution. And maybe we are.
I saw that too.
Maybe we are over consuming and things of the sort. But when we look at 2030, I see technology getting applied in almost every aspect or area of business, period. Look at McDonald's. There's I'm not sure if it's McDonald's itself, but there's so many different fast food restaurants that now they're hiring a robot called Flippy to flip their burgers.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You walk into the banks, there's automated tellers. So you're going up to an ATM machine inside of the bank, and then if you can't get it done there, a banker will help you. So that kind of eliminated.
You self-checkout at Target, all of these things.
There's international grocery stores that it scans from the time you put it inside of your cart. Right. If you take it out of your cart, it gets subtracted or whatever the case is.
And there's no humans in the store. I've seen that too.
So my dad, the same surgeon, did a knee replacement on him 8 years ago, all manual process. Said he had tremendous swelling, a whole bunch of pain and stuff before he could even walk, maybe about almost 2 weeks later. This same surgeon did this surgery with his hands controlling a computer that controls a robot. And I will tell you that he was doing his 1, 2, 3 step with his walker the day after the surgery.
But how was using a robot more effective than doing it by a human?
I don't know if the robot's hands are a little bit more still. I don't know if the incisions become less invasive, that they don't have to interrupt as much tissue.
Maybe it's a laser or something else they're using.
Possibly, but the less invasive the surgery is, the less other
consequences.
areas around it. Absolutely, the other areas around it gets affected, so there's less inflammation, speeds up healing time. And like I said, the day after he was doing his walker, one step, next step, walker, one step, next step. So he was doing the 1, 2, 3. Before I left him, and this is over the course of a weekend, he was gliding to the bathroom.
Wow.
And I'm like, the same surgeon.
Was it swollen?
It barely. Barely. He had more bandages than anything.
And this was in the Virgin Islands?
No, actually, he was up here in Cleveland Clinic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going, wow, over there in that area of the world.
No, yeah. He actually had to come up here because over there, I wouldn't say that our healthcare system is the best. We definitely did have to fly to Puerto Rico for a lot of different things, fly to Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and things of the sort. So that's one thing that should be definitely improved.
Yeah, and
on my list of things to do.
One of the things I was going to ask about is robots, and you covered that. But there actually are robots. I've Googled this, and there are robots that are serving people food in restaurants in Osceola County. It's in California. I mean, there's all types of ways that robots are being used.
Some big person, I can't remember, either some celebrity just made an investment in this company that the robot drives themselves to the house and delivers the pizza themselves.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too.
No delivery driver, no anything. Yes, we lose jobs, but somebody has to program these robots. Somebody has to maintain these robots. Somebody has to. So we lose jobs in one aspect, but we do gain opportunities in another. And I do feel like the more education and the higher the barrier of entry is for these other opportunities, the better compensating they should be.
Yeah.
So but if we omit the time to become students, even of change, then we will get left behind.
Very true. So hard to believe it's been an hour.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, it flies by, especially when it's a really good conversation too. Now you've shared a lot of really good mentoring advice, things that came from the Bible, things that came from, people that are, world-renowned writers, but best mentoring advice that you would like to share with our listeners. You apparently have a lot in your head.
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Knowing who you are. My elementary school principal used to say, know who you are, where you come from, never forget that. Self-awareness is important. You mentioned values earlier.
Yeah.
I believe once we have our values and we write them down and we instill them and we live towards them, we start to live our life intentional. And when we live our life intentional, I believe that opens many doors. Some that we want, it closes others that we want, but it also opens up opportunity to things that we didn't even know was in existence or was even possible for us. So I would say self-awareness is I am Kaizen, continuous improvement. I am forever a student of myself. Forever.
Maslow's theory. Yep. Self-awareness, top of the pyramid. So how can our listeners contact you? We usually share a website and we share LinkedIn. Is there anything else you'd like us to share? I hesitate to say don't share your personal email. So.
No, you're fine. Actually, if you go on the website www.ajmarksent,
we've got that.
There you go. There's a spot on there where you can fill out your information and you can send an email from there, and I'll be able to capture it one way or the other. If somebody from the team intercepts it, they'll make sure I get it as well. My LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn at Austin Jackson, Facebook Austin Jackson. So yes, my name is popular, but I'm pretty easy to find.
I know. When I first met you, I said, that sounds like a movie star name or a spy.
Yeah, see, well, I've heard Action Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. He's no longer alive.
Yeah, I know. The $6 million man.
Yeah, so sad. He's a good actor. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been delightful. And just so you know, this show is going to be airing November 15th.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Make sure I'll be on the lookout.
All right.
Thank you so much.
So we want to thank our sponsor, Cat 5 Studios, and thank you to our production team, Josue Gonzalez, Gio Vargas, Dina Burks, and Lester Eccles. Our music is by Sophie Lloyd, and we would like to have your inclusion tip of the week shared on our show. So be sure to record it, send your audio file to info@e4c.tech and include your name, job role, and where you work. We will email our Intern Pursuit game green screens for your next video conference call. Be sure to visit Employers for Change at www.e4c to learn how you can create real diversity and an inclusive culture while scaling your people for work. And thank you for supporting the Intern Whisperer podcast by subscribing to our show on Podbean or your favorite podcast channel.